Home, Chapter 7. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Mira Rose. Artwork provided by XAA on Tumblr. You can find a link to their Tumblr account in the description box. If you haven't already, make sure to listen to the other 6 chapters of this story, and subscribe and hit the bell to stay up to date on the latest parts of your favorite fanfictions. In addition, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and a comment in the comments section to help support the author and the YouTube algorithm. Now then, Chapter 7. Adrien sat on his bed, pictures of Ladybug and Marinette laid out in front of him. "Crush," he muttered to himself, holding up a picture of Ladybug to the ceiling. "Friend," he said, tossing a picture of Marinette to the side. "Crush," he said again, moving a picture of Ladybug to the discard pile. "Friend." "Kid, it's been an hour. When can we move on to the pictures of cheese?" Plague groaned. "I have a few choice words to show my affection for each one." Adrien sighed, flopping onto his back. It was hopeless. He liked 2 girls, and every single piece of advice he'd received through movies told him chasing after 2 hares was a bad idea. Ugh. He had the worst luck, didn't he? And if liking 2 girls weren't enough of a kerfuffle for the heart, one of them made him feel at home at work, and the other one provided him a place to call home when he wasn't working. What's a cat to do? Then again, there's no way either of them would date him. Besides, he wanted to date Ladybug, not Marinette. Yeah, he liked her, but he wasn't sure if these feelings could be labeled as a crush. Nope. He needed to keep adding boards to the walls in his heart, making sure none of his feelings bled into a chamber where they didn't belong. Sighing, Adrien closed his eyes, blocking out whatever it was Plague was trying to tell him. The promise of sleep felt good to him right now, genuine and as tangible as such a thing could be, unlike this internal battle of emotions for girls he'd never date anyway. But when he fell asleep, he didn't fall gently. Oh, no. The dream that came was something out of a nightmare, with twists and turns and tricky words that could make even a grown man panic and want to hide under the same covers that trapped him under a Sandman's power. Doors and girls and choices he wanted to run away from. But when he awoke with anxiety, not quite sure what it was he dreamt about. But, for once, breakfast smelled good. Adrien brushed his teeth and tumbled downstairs, taking the chair opposite his father for their weekly morning meal. Little was said between them past his current activities and Adrien congratulating Gabriel for his recent launch. "I think it's about time you got a girlfriend," Gabriel said, his words freezing Adrien's fork in midair. Wait, really? Adrien looked up, eyes wide, as his father checked a message on his phone. "You're allowing me to date?" "Don't get ahead of yourself, Adrien. You're not responsible enough to handle a relationship yet. I mean a girlfriend for business." Natalie appeared, as if on cue, and handed him 3 manila folders. "Choose one and we'll get a photo op arranged. Don't worry about actually getting to know her. You'll be briefed on her likes and dislikes, so there's no need to lose time spending it with a stranger," she said, her voice its usual cool tone. Something twisted in his belly. cold and dark and bitter. Another day, another move as a pawn. Was anything genuine to his father anymore? Even this breakfast was for show. Adrien stood up, not foolish enough to leave the folders behind, and excused himself to his bedroom. Ugh. He wanted to kick or scream or do something rebellious, but knew he couldn't. He was stuck at home and... No. He wasn't stuck at home. He wanted to go home, and that realization was almost scary. But Marinette said she was going to Alia's today, and it wasn't his place to intrude. And if Marinette wasn't home, he didn't have a reason to go to the Dupain Changs, did he? Oh, wait. Yes, he did. They owned a bakery, and he had a stomach. He could stop in for a bite. After promising Plague they'd visit Leon's cheese store, Adrien transformed, his heart pounding in anticipation. He shouldn't be so nervous, but it was still a little daunting. Sure, Mama Chang would smile and give him a big hug when he walked in, but there was always the what-if reel of events playing in the back of his mind. "Hello, my boy," Tom bellowed when Cat walked into the bakery, turning heads. Cat found himself swept into a hug that nearly melted him, and he nearly forgot to return the gesture. He wasn't used to such touching anymore, and even though he was touch-hungry, he didn't know how to feed the desire. "Cat?" He turned around to see Marinette walk in with a bag that was larger than her torso. "Hey," he said, timid. "Okay, heart, now isn't the time to flutter." This was certainly a nervous flutter, not a crush flutter. Yeah, nervous flutter. A nervous flutter that somehow relaxed his whole body as it passed through him. "Oh, hey! Fancy seeing you here," he said, just barely getting away with not clearing his throat. "What are you up to?" "I got some of this." She held up some yarn. Or thick thread? He couldn't tell. "Sewing?" "Cross-stitch." "Cross-stitch? Like embroidery?" "Yeah!" Oh, Camembert. The way she lit up was priceless. "What are you going to make?" he asked, clearing his throat as an excuse to look away. "I got a Pusheen cross-stitch set. Want to make one with me?" The invitation took him off guard. "With these paws? My claws would get in the way, princess." "Please, you aren't some beast. What, are you scared of a little embroidery?" The light banter warmed his heart. That's right. Warmed. Not fluttered. Warmed his heart. It's because Marinette was here now. Yeah. That's right. Home is where Marinette is. He followed her upstairs where she set up shop in the living room, turning on the TV for some casual background noise before unpacking what she bought. "You got two?" he asked, thumbing the Pusheen boxes. "Yeah, one for you." Cat nearly dropped the box in surprise. "For him? For me?" "Yeah, it reminded me of you." "Really?" "Something tells me you'd like Pusheen the cat. And what's the harm in learning how to cross-stitch, even if it's less than 100 stitches? His heart glowed as he found his usual grin replaced with a soft smile. Wow, did he like this girl? She was nice, if not polite, to everyone. But to him? She was kind to him. The kind of kindness that comes with genuine intimacy. Less than 100 stitches? He echoed. Cat sliced open the transparent sticker sealing the box. Show me how it's done. The contents spilled onto the coffee table, and Marinette picked up a pink circle and a white piece of fabric. He did the same, a flutter of excitement in his chest. As simple as it was, he was already having fun. Place the fabric over the back of the hoop, Marinette said. Yeah, just like that. Now open up the screw of the top piece and yeah, you've got it. She clapped her hands together. Great job, Cat. He laughed, fighting the urge to roll his eyes. This was the easy part. He shouldn't be praised for something like this. All right, talk me through this, Cat said, picking up a needle. Marinette talked him through threading the tapestry needle and tying a knot, although she ended up tying his for him. As expected, it was a little hard to do with claws on, despite his best efforts. Did he poke himself making the little X's on the coarse fabric? Yes. Yes, he did. But at least it got some giggles from Marinette. There was something about sharing the intimate silence, dulled by the background noise from the television, that came while stitching together that Cat found himself enjoying unexpectedly. Webtoons that took place in early Victorian Europe settings taught him that this was something a noble-class woman was expected to learn, and he could see how ladies could be fast friends while sharing needlework. It was easy to pass the time while both chatting and keeping their hands busy. Then again, if they were in the Victorian era, it would be unbecoming of him to stitch together with her. She'd be trapped inside while he was outside sword fighting or riding horses or some other stereotypical man activity. That didn't take long at all, Cat said, admiring the handiwork they did together. He'd done the Pusheen eating a donut design, and she'd stitched the classic Pusheen design. They hadn't even finished an episode of the drama. He half wished there were more patterns, larger patterns, to do. Sitting with Marinette like this was exactly what he needed after this morning. Her parents were nice, but today taught him that home wasn't the bakery. Home is where Marinette is. He felt sleep tug at his eyes after lunch, and although he wanted nothing more than to curl up for a catnap on the couch, Cat knew he'd best be going. Father would want an answer to whom he'd be dating in namesake. If only he could date Marinette instead. Cat glanced at her, sitting peacefully beside him on the couch, and sighed. Yeah, right. As if Father would ever approve. He might have an eye for fashion, but he'd miss this gem of a girl from his own greed. But was it his greed? Cat didn't know. He could never tell if his father's actions were to help himself or to help Adrien as his son. Whatever. Marinette was asleep beside him, tuckered out from her mourning, no doubt, and there couldn't be a better time to excuse himself. With a soft sigh, Cat leaned over, touched his lips to her hair, and stood up. It was time to go back to his bedroom. Thank you so much for listening. Chapter 8 is on the way. A little bit of capitalism here, shameless self-promo. I do have this design, Home is Where Marinette Is, in a cross-stitch aesthetic available on Redbubble. You can find a link to it in the description box below. I've also linked the Pusheen box that they did together, which is a perfect beginner's cross-stitch set. It's like $10 US dollars for anyone who's interested. Those links are in the description. I will catch you guys very soon with Chapter 8. Bye! Oh, and also, if you've listened this far, comment, Home is Where Marinette Is. Okay, bye, for real.